Yes, today is the 137th anniversary of the birth of Agustin Barrios. What I'd like to start talking about today was, you may wonder, what was a recording studio like when Barrios was recording in 1913, 1914. We know that by the mid-20s we had microphones, electric recordings as they were called. So I'm going to show you a couple photos. This is from the Jose Teguini's Columbia Recording Studio in Buenos Aires. This is just a little bit after 1910. These images are from an undated Fray Mocho magazine published in Buenos Aires. So we see the megaphones that you sang into or played your instrument into. You see a guitarist in the right photo standing, another guitarist in the background. I have one other photo I want to show you. This is from the same magazine. Same studio, but you see here's there's a clarinetist on the left of the top photo, and they're all going to play into that megaphone. On the photo below you see somebody making the master copy. These were, the Atlanta records were sent to Hamburg, Germany, and then they were returned probably 60 to 90 days later. In 1917, due to World War I, German U-boats, the returning boat that had Armin Amendola's Atlanta records was sunk, and he went out of business. He had no insurance. Some other aspects about the recording career of Agustin Barrios. Capriccio Arab and Sarita, these were the very first recordings that were advertised by Max Glucksman. He had had Agustin Barrios under contract since 1921, and I showed a picture, if I can find it, of Habanera. Here's the Habanera. This was recorded in 1924. Romuald Simoes, who had a huge collection that was eventually purchased by the Brazilian government. You can see a video on YouTube, 2 or 3 minutes long, where you can see the complete collection housed. They show the recordings, but not the 200 scrapbooks of newspaper clippings of concert programs. But Romuald didn't have this recording in his collection when I acquired it in 1999. My colleague in Puerto Rico, Ramon Vasquez Lamboy, he had known Romuald for a while to communicate with him, and he sent one of my Golden Era CDs that had that recording on it. I think it was GE7. Many of the great classical guitarists, Miguel Llobet included, had their discs, their songs put on disc, Columbia, and this is a recording, or I should say an edition, that was produced in Japan. We see the stamps of Agustin Barrios over these. Let me read the text here. I wrote that the recordings of Agustin Barrios and the enlarged stamps, these are Odeon recordings, and the Columbia disc was produced by Nipponophone in Kawasaki, Japan in 1939. There's an autograph of Agustin Barrios on an ink stamp. So you see the ink stamps of Agustin Barrios with his signature. And Rico Stover's 6 Silver Moonbeams, he mentioned that Agustin Barrios had recorded duets with Ezequiel Cuevas in Cuba in 1934. These recordings have still never been found, but about 2015, around the time of acquiring the Rosendo Barrero archive from an intermediary, that archive was found by Hilario Perez. You can see videos. He's a great player, and he has interviews on YouTube. He's pretty elderly right now. But here I have a CX26 Radio Uruguay weekly page of the performances of discs played on the radio. And we see on Thursday, right here, we have Barrios and Cuevas playing at 6 o'clock. And this is on September 16th, 1937, about 3 years after the duets were done. I'd like to read here. I wrote that here we see on CX26 Radio Uruguay in Montevideo on Thursday, September 16th, 1937, recorded duets on the Brunswick label made in 1934 in Cuba by Agustin Barrios and Ezequiel Cuevas. Cuevas was born in 1889. Barrios 1885. Being played from 6 o'clock until 6:30. This is from the magazine entitled Programa Oficial de las Estaciones Uruguayas de Radio, official program of the Uruguayan radio stations. Año 6, 6th year, September 10th of 1937. Number 320, September 10th, 18th issue. The bold text listings are live events. We can also notice Andres Segovia and Fritz Chrysler recordings being played on Saturday morning from 10 of 10 until 10:30 in the morning. Ezequiel Cuevas first recorded with Eusebio Delphine for Victor Records in 1927. That source is the Encyclopedic Discography of Victor Recordings website. That's an outfit that does great work in Santa Barbara, California. I have many of these listings of Barrios recordings being played. Here we see on Friday, September 20th, 1935. I'll show you right here. You get the Friday listings from here to here. And we see, as I wrote here, we see CX22 Edison Broadcasting in Montevideo on Friday, September 20th, 1935. Andres Segovia and Agustin Barrios recordings played from 2:30 in the afternoon until 2:45. This is from the magazine entitled Programa Oficial de las Estaciones Uruguayas de Radio, the official program of the Uruguayan radio stations. Bold text listings are live events. So you had live events on radio, and you had the discs being played. I showed another one, early to mid-30s, Barrios having records. This CX14 El Espectador radio station in Montevideo. And I wrote that it's on a Sunday, and not sure of the month. Mid to late 1930s, Agustin Barrios recordings being played from 9:15 to 9:30. This is from the magazine, as I've mentioned before, Programa Oficial de las Estaciones Uruguayas de Radio, official program of the Uruguayan radio stations. Bold text listings are live events. Here's another one. This is from CX34, Radio Uruguay, Saturday the 3rd of October, 1931. At this point, I think Barrios was in Central America doing his Nitsuga Mangare, dressed up in an Indian outfit. So we see Solos de Guitarra por Barrios and Canciones. So there were also vocals being played in that time frame. And so I have 100 pages, 101 pages directly on Barrios. There's other spots in the book that are mentioned pertaining to various biographies of people who were playing his pieces in concert, etc. Guillermo Cochran, Remigio Comba, etc. Abel Calavaro, whoever was playing his pieces. So this is volume 1 from 4 volumes. This weighs 21 pounds, $300, shipping included worldwide. At the end of this month of May 2022, we will start the 3rd year of being able to offer this to the public, shipping them out. Last July, in Gendai Guitar Magazine, here we see Stephanie Jones on the cover, July 2021. We see there was a 4-page review of my book. This is published in Tokyo. Here's my book stacked up there. And it has the Jack Silver review. He's the first person. He's a retired history teacher in Toronto, Canada. He is the first person who read the book completely in about 2 weeks when I sent it to him 2 years ago. And he did a very good critique. Here we see pictures of Maria Luisa Nito in her 1953 tour to Japan and fans. And so these are out of an Italian book that I give credit to. Everybody I had as a source got credit in my book. And here we see Maria Luisa Nito on TV. And here we have Shonogura. He met Segovia in 1929 when Segovia played in Tokyo and Osaka. And just after the stock market collapse in October of 1929, he arrived in Tokyo, and when he went to Osaka, he used a Herman Hauser 1 guitar. That information was written in Harmonia magazine, which was the guitar magazine that started in 1925, went till about 1939, possibly 1943. Some of this info, when I talk about it, I forget because I haven't done the research in 8 years, yada yada. So here we see more recordings of Maria Luisa Nito that were, this is Miguel Yabet and Agustin Barrios. And so these are the Napanophone recordings. They initially were Odeon recordings. The Yabet stuff being recorded in Barcelona and the Barrios stuff recorded in Buenos Aires. And so these were distributed from 1939 onward. So I wish you all the best. We're going to celebrate the rest of the birthday of Agustin Barrios, May 5th, 1885.